Hi everyone, I'm Justisa and welcome to Dark History of Sweden. Today we will be talking about a few different Swedish serial killers. This one will not be as in-depth as my last one on Lars Nilsson, the Löderups killer. If you haven't seen that one, I highly recommend you do after this one, of course. Before we get to the serial killers, let's define it. What makes you a serial killer? According to the dictionary, a serial killer is someone who commits a series of murders. But what else is important to know? According to Wikipedia, a serial killer is typically a person who murders 3 or more persons, with the murders taking place over more than a month and including a significant period of time between them. While most authorities set a threshold of 3 murders, others extend it to 4 or lessen it to 2. Psychological gratification is the usual motive for serial killing, and many serial murders involve sexual contact with the victim. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, states that the motives of serial killers can include anger, thrill-seeking, financial gain, and attention-seeking, and killings may be executed as such. The victims may have something in common. For example, demographic profile, appearance, gender, or race. So, at least 3 murders might have similarities and motive. Those are some things that separate serial killers from mass murderers. And by the way, you should really make sure that you are subscribed and hit that bell, because next week we will be talking about Swedish mass murderers, and you will not want to miss that. Now that we've established what a serial killer is, it's time to take a dive into a few serial killers of Sweden. We are starting off strong with this priest from Silbodal. Born December 22nd, 1803, Anders Lindbeck was raised in a poor family. In 1820, Vicar Johan Nordahl helped him get into a school. Later on in 1829, he applied to Uppsala University and was ordained in 1831. Immediately after being ordained, he got a job as a parish teacher and schoolmaster in Skålerud. Here he worked and stayed until 1861, when he applied for a job as a vicar in Silbodal. Early on, he became an alcoholic, and he tried to deal with it many times, even as he moved to Silbodal. With his empowering preaches about refusing the devil's drink, he could easily hide his own addictions. When Lindbeck arrived in Silbodal, the small congregation was supporting about 40 people with money. He made bylaws and arrangements to make sure the expenses were low. As a vicar, he was the most powerful man in Silbodal. No one dared to question him. He thought himself above the law. So when the economy got more difficult to maintain, he had to come up with another quick solution. Part of his job was to visit the sick and give them the Holy Communion and blessings. This in hope that they would become healthy quickly. Weirdly enough, they all seemed to get worse after the vicar's visit. December 15, 1864, when Lindbeck's good friend Anders Lusén suddenly died, people got suspicious. A little while after Lusén's death, Sheriff Lidén received several anonymous letters telling him that the priest had killed him. A priest? A murderer? No way. But Lusén's family demanded that the body be exhumed. Lidén sent a carefully written letter to Lindbeck, asking him about the sudden death. But Lindbeck lied and told him that Lusén had been feeling sick and it had only gotten worse. But during interviews of the workers at the rectory, they said nothing of sickness. But instead he uncovered an argument between Lindbeck and Lusén. About 10,000 Swedish crowns. That was a hefty sum at the time. When all of the evidence of foul play came up, the sheriff asked permission to dig up the body. After a new examination, they found large amounts of arsenic in the body. It was then uncovered that not only had Lindbeck poisoned his friend, but people in his congregation. By poisoning the communion wine and getting them quick burials, he got away with it. In total, he murdered 3 people, and there were several attempts at murder. In the end, he was found guilty and sentenced to death. But before he got beheaded, he hung himself in his prison cell, 20th of November, 1865. John Ingvar Lövgren was born 22nd of November 1930 in Norrköping. Both his parents died at a young age and he was put in a foster home. As an adult, he was known to get ridiculously drunk and flash himself before young women. For this, he was arrested several times. Between the years of 1953 and 1961, he was in and out of the mental hospital. He was described to be childish, feeble-minded, and they assumed that he was slightly mentally challenged. The 2 murders he was felled for are truly horrible, and I want to once again warn you before you proceed. I will not go into too much details, but even if this is too much for you, I will have timestamps on screen and in the description. This part will have talk of murder and rape of children. August 12, 1963. Around 6 o'clock that evening, Kerstin Blomqvist was standing by her open window overlooking the Tengdal Park. Near the playground, right by the bushes, she sees a man and a little girl in a yellow sweater. As a mother herself, her first thought is that it's a father and his daughter. But then she sees his movements against her head, and the little girl vomits. Kerstin jumps for the phone and immediately calls the police. When she comes back to the window, they're gone. The police arrive and they search the park. The girl nor the man is nowhere to be found. Around 8 o'clock, Erik Malmberg finds the body of a lifeless little girl by the swings in Vitabergs Park. She is identified as Berit Glesing, a 6-year-old little girl. Not only was she defiled, but punched to death. Monday, September 2nd, 1963, Lövgren walks over to a few kids on the playground and offering little Ann-Kristin some candy. At first, she refuses it, but he doesn't give in and keeps pestering her until she accepts it. As she eats the candy, he grabs and pulls her into the nearby woods. The boy she was playing with gets scared and runs home. Little Jörgen Larsson tells his mom that a strange and ugly man has taken his friend Ann-Kristin. Jörgen's mom rushes out and looks for her until she finds her in the woods, unconscious, whimpering, and bleeding from both head and nether regions. It's only been 8 minutes. She is taken to the hospital and is operated on, but at 3 a.m. she dies of her injuries. Lövgren is now hunted after having brutally killed 2 young girls. An off-duty policeman is out on a walk with his wife when he sees a strange man with his zipper down walking out of the forest. The next day, he is sent out to go door to door and talk to the neighbors. When he goes to knock on Axelina Lövgren's door, Lövgren opens, and he immediately recognizes him. Lövgren is arrested and breaks down crying. Not because of guilt or fear, but because he won't be able to celebrate his grandma's 90th birthday. He later on admitted to killing 26-year-old Agneta Nyholm and is connected to several sexual offenses. He was put in jail and died February 9th, 2002. Hilda Nilsson, born May 24, 1876. As a 17-year-old, she moved to Helsingborg and was later on married to Gustav Nilsson. Hilda and her husband had terrible debts, and at this time there was no help to be had. They had to manage on their own. Several times they had been announced bankrupt and driven from their homes. Gustav worked and Hilda tried making ends meet. One day, looking through ads, she got an idea. Since it was taboo to be a single mom at the time, Hilda offered to take care of the children for them, but they had to pay. Her only condition was that they pay everything at once, not a little all the time. I once again want to warn you that this part can be uncomfortable. I will put timestamps so you can skip if you want to. Hilda claimed that this was only temporary until their debts were paid. It's unclear if this was true or not. These children weren't documented anywhere. No one except their mothers knew of them. No one would miss them. She took the children for the payment and told the mothers she would care for them. But when she was sure no one would suspect anything, she killed them. Mostly it was by drowning. She put them in a small tub of water, then something heavy on top of them, left them for a few hours, and when she returned, they were dead. Then she would burn the bodies and throw out the ashes. She was caught when a young woman, Blenda Henriksson, wanted contact with her child. But Hilda, who went by Anna when she talked to the women, refused her. Brenda asked the police to look into it, and that is when they uncovered the angel maker Hilda Nilsson. She had killed at least 8 children this way. She was sentenced to death. But the same day she hung herself, the court decided to change her death sentence to lifetime in prison. Hilda is known as one of the worst female serial killers in Swedish history. Most angel makers just let the children but they let the children starve and live in misery until they died. But Hilda actively chose to kill them. That was all I had on Swedish serial killers. There are probably more, but I want to keep it short and easy to digest and not me just talking for hours and hours. So yeah, next week we'll be talking about Swedish mass murderers. So make sure you are subscribed and hit the bell so you don't miss it. And it would make me really happy if you liked this video so that more people can see it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Take care of yourself and each other, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!